who doesn't like a good slasher film? And when it comes to horror, there's no popular subgenre in the horror franchise more popular than the slasher films. And some of the most popular ones under that subgenre would have to be the Scream movies. These, these, uh, these. Ever since the first song was released back in 1996, it gained a great cult following and started a new horror franchise that kept on going and going and going and going and going and going. Yeah, this is one of those franchises where they don't what know the meaning of the word stop. Up, up. I mean, we're now on the seventh film of the franchise, with Scream 7. And before I look into that one, allow me to give you my thoughts on the previous films. And I'm going to say, I consider myself to be a casual fan of the franchise. No doubt I love the first. I also find that to be a horror masterpiece. And I do really like most of the sequels, especially the fifth and sixth film. Those two films were absolutely amazing, and the closest the franchise has ever gotten to creating films as good as the original. No, but after watching all of them to prepare for this one, I wouldn't say with the exception of the first, fifth, and sixth, that these are going to be the type of films I'm going to be constantly rewatching. At best, they're the type of films where I'll probably rewatch them if there's going to be a new installment to the franchise, and that's pretty much it. But when it comes to my thoughts on Scream 7, I didn't have the highest expectations, but there was one thing that made me really excited to check this one out, and that is the reviews. I don't think I've seen this many mixed reviews for a franchise film in a long time. There were many I saw that were calling this the best of the franchise, and others that were calling it the worst one. And with all the type of mixed reviews we were getting, I think I know. Oh yeah, I've got to check this one out to see what I thought. And after watching it, I'd say this film falls somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's the best one in the franchise, but I wouldn't say it's the worst one either. But overall, I had a really good time with this one. But the film is definitely not without faults. But before we get into those, allow me to go over the positives. The horror feels a lot more intense this time compared to some of the other films. The feature really knew the meaning of the word intensity when it came to this one. And every encounter with Ace captures the same intensity you'll get from most of the other films. As a result, the horror is a lot more frightening this time around, and as you never know where Ghostface is gonna show up. Adding a lot more excitement and fear into these upcoming scenes. On top of that, at the fit, I was able to offer some subtle humor, but of course, our Scream is one of those franchises that constantly breaks the fourth wall, or to explain the different rules of horror franchises or movie franchises in general. As a result, there were some moments where, while I wouldn't say this is the funniest film I'll see, there were moments that did get a few decent chuckles out of me. I also think all the actors were really good in this film, for the most part. I don't know what it is with Sydney's actress. Sorry, I can't really remember the name. Uh, but I had the feeling throughout that she didn't want to be here. Yeah, or she was just giving a really dull performance in this film. And for some reason, so that didn't really get me connected with her character as much as I would in previous films. But I'd say she's the only actor I'd say that didn't do a great job here. All the other actors were still really good. And delivered some great performances. However, while the actors for the most part are great, the characters themselves are not. This is my biggest problem I have with the film. And that's been I just didn't really care for the characters this time around. This is mainly noticeable with the relationship between Sydney and her daughter Tatum. Now let me say now that out of all the characters the movie franchises that become an overprotective parent, I think Sydney has one of the best reasons to end up as one. With all the experiences and the Ghostface killing she's experienced over the years, she has every right to be as scared and as terrified. I don't know, to protect active as a kid is as possible. However, for this to work, you need to show a good bond between Sydney and her daughter Tatum. And I don't think the film did that. I'm not saying that bond was bad or anything, but I didn't really see many moments of the two together. As soon as the first half initiated, is the two of them are separated until the end of the film, and when it comes to the reveal of who Ghostface is. Speaking of which, without going into spoilers, I really want to know how fans feel ill about the reveal of Ghostface, because as it's got a connection to another character in the franchise. I'm trying without going into too much spoilers, and knowing how much fans of franchises don't like it when characters are given a drastic change. And I have a feeling that when it comes to who one of the Ghostface is in this film, it's not going to be one that the fans are going to be loving per se. As the side character, it's part of the fun of the screen in films is looking through all the characters as possible suspects to try and guess as who is behind the Ghostface mask. However, these are probably some of the blandest characters you'll get in a screen film. For the most part, you got odd taste in frat, and where two of them just get killed in the fat. Us have to be each, and the other two are just need to be suspect, as well as her boyfriend, who's probably the best character because of how he disses AI, which hey, I respect, man. And AI isn't similar to what I'm a huge fan of. So the fact that Addison was dissing AI, respect. But other than that, you don't really get much personality out of the other characters. And don't get me started with Gail. Honestly, for the most part, I kept forgetting she was actually in the film. Her role is a lot smaller in this than it is in some of the other Scream films. And it does stop her character from being as enjoyable and as entertaining. I'm not going to say Gale is one of my favourite characters of the franchise. But when put in the right hands, she can be fun and enjoyable. I especially really liked her role also in Scream 5 and 6. It's just in this film, I don't think the feature knew exactly how they were going to use her per se. Also, since I said that was the character that was against AI, I was surprised to find that was a bit of a big topic in this film. And for the most part, the AI is mainly used by the Ghostface, especially actually used to bring back one of the killers from the first films too. Which I will also the Ghostface use of AI. I'm not a huge fan of it. But yeah, I did like how he was clever with it. But I especially like before the reveal of how he used the AI to trick X and he should when all the when some of the various killers that she's got there's some foes she's gone on up again, and it's in the fan and I saw far. That was honestly a really clever use of it. And I don't think I've got too much to say other than that. So overall, Scream 7 it's definitely not the best film in the franchise, but for the most part, it's a harmless watch. Well, the writing thing left a lot to be decided, and it has some pretty flat characters. It still has some great tension in the horror. So Olive visuals was good performance. Ormond says some decent sensual humour. Well, I wouldn't say this is a must watch, but for fans of the previous films, that's a good. My recommendation would be to watch it at least once to say that you've seen it. Out of all the cities killing things, this is definitely not her best one, but for the most part, I still enjoy this film. And had a good time with it. And that's why I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye!